friends, and welcome back to my homestead. So today is a special day. It's the end of the summer, and in a celebration of end of the summer, we're going to be cooking a very special dish. It is called BASMA. BASMA is a fancy word for stew. It can be beef stew, lamb stew. Now BASMA is a traditional Uzbek dish that is often cooked outdoors on the fire. And we still have a big fire going, but it's gonna die down soon because we need a lot of hot coals to cook this, and we're gonna cook it in a very big, thick kazan. This is a cast iron pot that's gonna be able to cook everything. Traditionally, we cook by warming up the cast iron, but this dish is cooked a little bit differently when we start everything in cold and we put all of our ingredients in a cold kazan and we start layering. And it's an amazing celebration of summer because we can use a lot of fresh ingredients that were grown in the summer months. So traditionally speaking, we have to line this kazan with some sort of fat, and normally Uzbek dishes are cooked with lamb, and they use lamb fat, which is called kurduk. Now I don't have any kurduk, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of olive oil. So I'm gonna put some fat on the bottom, and then I'm gonna start putting down my first layer, which is meat. And I have a combination of lamb and beef. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put everything in the bottom, and I already put salt and pepper. Okay, so it's nicely seasoned, and it's okay to use meat that has a little bit of a bone on it. So I'm gonna just layer everything nicely on the bottom, pack this nice, just like this. Okay, all right. And the second layer, we're gonna be putting lots and lots of onion. So I cut up about 2 very large onion that I'm gonna put on top. And I'm gonna cover everything. The more onion you have, the better, because the meat will be juicier. One thing you're going to notice when I'm cooking this is that there is no liquid added. The the vegetables and the meat is gonna create a lot of juice. So that's what's going to be. So next I'm going to be putting carrots. So I have some carrots here and they can be sliced in any fashion you want to, because this dish is going to cook for some time, so bigger chunks is fine. So I'm going to season, because try to season things every layer if possible. Okay, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little salt and a little bit of pepper. Okay. Growing up, when we would go camping and we would cook in these large type of kazans on open fire, and I just feel like everything tastes better when it's cooked outdoors on an open fire. Okay, so we've got our carrots, and next is we're going to be putting potatoes. And potatoes, I'm going to keep them whole, so they're peeled, but I am not I'm going to keep them whole. So let me show you. Okay, just like this, they're going to be staying completely whole. Let me just drain this water off. Okay. So I'm gonna layer them all on top of my carrots, and the order really doesn't matter. It's to your liking, but it's just that's how I like mine. And again, I'm keeping them whole because it's gonna take a while for them to cook. All right, so let me just put them all down, and they have to be packed quite tightly together. Okay, it's almost like lasagna type of thing, I would say. Oh, hopefully I have enough space for this. I have one more left. Come on, come on. Okay. Isn't this beautiful? Okay, and now I'm gonna be seasoning this again. Not very much, but just a little bit, because remember, potatoes do like to absorb a lot of salt. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit more seasoning just right on top of my potatoes. And then we're gonna be putting some peppers. And I have a combination of red peppers. We have red peppers, we have green bell peppers, and I have poblano peppers. I love poblano peppers because I feel like they are spicy but not ridiculously hot. Okay, so peppers are in. And again, if you want to layer them out nice and pretty, so this is how I'm just gonna do it. Okay, the next layer I'm gonna be putting is tomatoes, and I have tomatoes here. All right, and I have tomatoes. These are beautiful plum tomatoes. Now this is an optional, this is an optional, but these are fresh winter squash that I have, and these are completely optional. I want to test it out and see how it goes. And everything has to be nice and tightly packed. Okay, nicely tightly packed. Okay, now I'm just going to be sprinkle a little bit more pepper and salt. And at this layer, I'm going to be adding my spices. And for spices, I have cumin, ground cumin, and ground coriander. Okay, so let me put those on top as well. And you can put as little or as much as you want to. So I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, so I got a little bit of coriander and a little bit of cumin. In my language, it's called zira. Again, it's as little or as much as you want to. Okay, so in Uzbek tradition, it is very common to see a whole head of garlic. Just peel the extra layer, the outer layer off, and putting it down just like that in the middle. Okay, but I felt like I wanted to do both. I wanted to put fresh and some crushed garlic as well. And that's what I'm going to be doing, just sprinkling it around, because guess what, everything is going to marry. Everything eventually will mix up because it's going to be cooking on a slow fire for about an hour, hour and a half, that sort of thing. Okay, then we're going to be putting our fresh herbs, and this is fresh parsley, and I'm going to keep them just like this in a bunch, just like that. And then I'm going to be putting my cilantro. Okay, again, I'm just going to layer it right like that on top. My pot is completely full, completely full. All right, just for good measure, I also have a fresh onion. Okay. All right, I'm not done, believe it or not, I'm not done, because the last thing I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of more oil, because I want to make sure everything is nice and nice. Okay, because I don't want anything to stick. And I'm not putting a lot, I'm just putting quite, you know, just a little bit. But remember, this is a big portion. I'm cooking for a lot of people. This dish is often cooked for weddings, big outings, a lot of barbecues, that sort of thing. Okay, a little bit more salt right on top, because salt is going to help the vegetables to kind of loosen up and give its juices. Okay, now I'm going to be taking my cabbage, and I have some cabbage. The leaves kind of broke down, unfortunately, and I'm just going to be taking this cabbage leaves, And I'm gonna layer them all on top, just like this. Cover everything in, push everything in, because it's gonna be like a cover that's gonna keep all that moisture and goodness inside. Now some people like to put eggplant in here. If I had eggplant, I probably would have put some, but I didn't have any, so I left it out. Okay, the cabbage is in. Let me put one more piece for good measure. Just want to make sure everything is covered underneath. And now I'm going to be putting some sort of a weight on top, because everything has to be weighted down. And the last thing, I'm just going to cover everything with my heavy lid. Make sure everything is underneath. Okay, it's kind of difficult to push everything in, but it's all in. And now it's so heavy that I don't think I can lift it. Yeah, I can't lift it. I'm gonna ask my husband to put it in the fire. Okay, so if you look at my fire, it's beginning to die down and my coals are nice and hot. We just push the big fire around, and that's how we're gonna cook this bad boy for the next an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. So it's gonna be so wonderful. BASMA is in the making. Isn't that beautiful? There's nothing like cooking on the open fire. So we're gonna be probably adding more coals as the need is. But yeah, so this will be cooking for the next hour and a half or so. We'll see. All right, this is done. So we really don't need this cabbage anymore, because it did its job, and we don't need the spices anymore, these herbs I should say. We're gonna push that aside, but everything else is done. It is amazing, smells so good too. So I hope that it was enough salt and pepper, and of course fire's on my face now. But anyway, everything is completely done, and there's a lot of juice underneath. And interestingly enough, we didn't put any liquid in here except for a little bit of oil, just a little bit. So that means all of the vegetables gave its juices out. So I'm going to be serving this to my family and friends, and this is BASMA, my friends. So I hope, friends, you are encouraged to try different dishes, even though it looks just like beef stew, lamb stew, but there's just something special about it, especially when it's cooked outdoors on the fire. So I hope you are encouraged and try something new.